Welcome back to Fiction Flux. Today, we're starting an emotional and action-packed fanfiction, What If Goku Was in One Piece? Let's not waste any time and dive right into the story. The sky was torn apart by the clash of titanic energy. Goku stood amidst the rubble, his body battered, his Ultra Instinct form flickering as he faced Omega Kronos, a god of destruction who had pushed him beyond anything he had ever encountered. Blood dripped down his face, and his muscles screamed in protest with every breath he took. Behind him, his friends lay motionless, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, defeated and broken. Goku's hands trembled as he tightened his fists, but his heart was heavy with despair. This wasn't just a battle. It was the end. "You've fought well, Saiyan," Omega Kronos sneered, his voice reverberating like thunder. "But it's over now. No one can stand against me." Goku's eyes burned with determination, but deep down, he knew the truth. He couldn't win this fight. Not here, not now. The energy to keep going was slipping away, and the last shreds of his strength barely kept him on his feet. "I can't let it end like this," Goku muttered to himself. "I've got to protect everyone, even if it costs me everything." Kronos raised his hand, energy swirling to deliver the final blow. Goku knew he had only one option left. With the last reserves of his strength, he focused on instant transmission. He didn't know where he was going, he only knew he needed to get away. The attack struck just as Goku disappeared. His body was pulled through a torrent of dimensions, his consciousness slipping as he was hurled through a sea of stars and endless skies. The overwhelming force ripped through him until, suddenly, everything stopped. Goku awoke to the sound of waves crashing against a wooden deck. His body ached, but he was alive. He opened his eyes to see a group of curious faces peering down at him. "Oi, is he dead?" a young man with a straw hat asked, poking Goku's shoulder. Another voice, sharp and annoyed, cut in. "Luffy, don't poke him. He looks like he's been through a war." Goku groaned, slowly sitting up, his vision swimming. "Where am I?" "You're on my ship," Luffy declared with a grin. "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, and this is my crew." Zoro crossed his arms, studying Goku's tattered appearance. "Who the hell are you?" Goku blinked, still disoriented. I'm Goku. I don't know how I got here, but..." He paused, sensing something strange. This world felt different. The energy wasn't like anything he'd encountered before, and his ki felt muted. "Do you need food? You look hungry." Luffy laughed, tossing a plate of meat at him. Goku's stomach growled loudly, and he couldn't help but smile. "Thanks. I guess I could use some food." As Goku ate, he listened to the Straw Hats talk, piecing together the strange world he had landed in. Pirates, devil fruits, the Grand Line. It was all so foreign, yet fascinating. But deep in his heart, he felt the weight of failure. He had run away from Kronos. He had left his friends behind. He clenched his fists, vowing silently that he would become stronger, strong enough to face whatever challenges this world threw at him and one day return to his own world. The Straw Hats, intrigued by Goku's raw strength and kind demeanor, welcomed him aboard. Over the weeks that followed, Goku trained relentlessly, adapting to this new world. He learned to fight alongside the Straw Hats, discovered the limits of his suppressed ki, and even began to understand the mysteries of Haki. Through countless adventures, he bonded with the crew, finding a new sense of camaraderie. Luffy's unbreakable will reminded him of his own, and the Straw Hats' determination to chase their dreams inspired him to keep moving forward. But in the quiet moments, Goku would look up at the stars, wondering if he'd ever see his friends again. One day, after an intense training session, Zoro approached him. "You've got the heart of a warrior, Goku. But I can see it in your eyes, you're carrying something heavy." Goku nodded, his voice soft. "I left my world behind. My friends, my family. I don't even know if they're still alive. But I'll get stronger. I'll find a way back. And when I do, I'll make sure I never fail them again." Zoro smirked, drawing one of his swords. "Then let's make sure you're ready for whatever comes next." As the two sparred under the blazing sun, the rest of the crew cheered them on. For the first time in what felt like forever, Goku felt a spark of hope. He wasn't alone anymore. He had a new family, a new purpose, and a world of possibilities ahead. Goku's journey in the One Piece world had just begun, and he was determined to make every moment count. The Straw Hat crew soon realized that Goku wasn't just a warrior, he was a force of nature. His appetite rivaled Luffy's, his endless enthusiasm for training matched Zoro's dedication, and his sheer joy in life fit right in with the chaotic energy of the crew. But beneath his cheerful exterior, they could see the weight he carried. Nami, ever perceptive, approached Goku one evening as the Thousand Sunny sailed under a blanket of stars. He was seated near the ship's figurehead, gazing out at the ocean, lost in thought. "You think about them a lot, don't you?" she asked, sitting beside him. Goku glanced at her, his eyes soft with a hint of sadness. "Yeah, my friends, my family. I don't even know if they're okay. I ran from a fight I couldn't win. I've never felt so powerless before." Nami placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're not powerless. I've seen how hard you train, how much you push yourself. If anyone can find a way back to their world, it's you. But don't forget, you have us now, too. You're not alone anymore." Goku smiled, her words easing the weight in his heart. "Thanks, Nami. That means a lot." The days turned into weeks, and the crew continued their journey through the Grand Line. Goku's strength grew as he trained with the crew, learning to master Haki and even adapting his key techniques to work in this strange new world. His spirit bomb now drew energy not just from the environment, but also from the sheer life force of the sea and sky of the One Piece world. In battle, Goku quickly became a key member of the crew. During an encounter with a Marine Admiral, his raw power and unconventional techniques caught even the most seasoned fighters off guard. The Straw Hats marveled at his ability to hold his own against seemingly impossible odds. One fateful day, the crew docked at a mysterious island rumored to house an ancient artifact capable of granting knowledge about other dimensions. The island was guarded by a group of ruthless bounty hunters who had been waiting for the Straw Hats, their leader a devil fruit user with the ability to manipulate gravity. As the crew fought to defend themselves, Goku faced off against the leader, pushing himself to the limit. The bounty hunter's gravity powers forced Goku to adapt, his movements slower, his strength constrained. But Goku thrived under pressure. With a sudden burst of energy, he unleashed a devastating Kamehameha infused with Haki, breaking through the enemy's defenses and securing victory. The artifact turned out to be a map, one that supposedly led to a location where the fabric of dimensions was thin. Goku's heart raced as he held the map, his mind racing with possibilities. "This might be my chance to find a way back," he said, his voice tinged with both hope and hesitation. Luffy grinned, clapping him on the back. "Then we'll go there. A friend's dream is our dream, too." The rest of the crew nodded in agreement. Goku felt a swell of gratitude. These people, who barely knew him, had become his family. As the Thousand Sunny sailed toward the new destination, Goku trained harder than ever. He couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was waiting for him at the end of this journey. Whether it was a chance to return home or another challenge to face, he would be ready. He stood at the bow of the ship one night, staring into the horizon. "Just wait a little longer, everyone," he whispered. "I'll find my way back. And when I do, I'll make things right." But deep down, he knew that no matter what happened, a part of him would always belong here, with the Straw Hat Pirates, in a world that had given him a second chance. The Straw Hats approached the coordinates marked on the ancient map, their excitement tempered by the growing sense of danger in the air. The closer they got, the stranger the sea became. The waves moved in unnatural patterns, and the sky above shifted between vibrant colors and oppressive darkness. "This place gives me the creeps," Usopp muttered, clutching his slingshot tightly. Robin, studying the map and ancient texts she had deciphered earlier, said, "This is no ordinary island. If the legends are true, this area is a tear in the fabric of reality itself. It's said that time and space don't behave as they should here." "Sounds fun," Luffy exclaimed, leaning over the rail with a massive grin. "Let's go already." The ship sailed into the anomaly, and almost immediately, the world seemed to twist and bend. The Thousand Sunny groaned as waves surged unpredictably, tossing the crew about. Goku stood at the bow, his senses heightened. He could feel the strange energy of this place pulling at him, resonating with something deep within his being. "This is it," Goku said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "This is the kind of energy I felt when I got pulled here." The ship finally reached a calm patch of water, where a massive, glowing portal hovered above the sea, crackling with energy. The sight was both beautiful and intimidating. "That's it," Nami shouted, pointing. "That must be the dimensional tear." As the crew marveled at the portal, a booming voice echoed through the air. "You dare approach the Gate of Realms?" From the swirling energy emerged a towering figure clad in dark armor, their presence radiating authority and menace. The figure introduced themselves as Argos, the gatekeeper, tasked with protecting the balance between worlds. "No one may pass unless they prove their worth," Argos declared, raising a massive blade that pulsed with the same energy as the portal. Luffy stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "If it's a fight you want, we're ready." "No," Goku said, stepping ahead of Luffy. "This is my fight. This portal is my way back home. Let me handle this." Luffy looked at him, then grinned. "All right, Goku, show him what you've got." The battle began with a clash that shook the sea and sky. Argos was unlike any foe Goku had faced in the One Piece world. The gatekeeper wielded not only immense physical strength but also the ability to manipulate the space around them, warping reality to throw Goku off balance. Goku pushed himself harder than ever, using every technique he had learned from his time with the Straw Hats. He combined his ki with Haki, creating devastating attacks that shook the battlefield. But Argos was relentless, forcing Goku to dig even deeper. As the fight wore on, Goku's mind flashed with images of his friends, both from his world and the Straw Hat crew. He thought of his family, of Vegeta and Gohan, and of the promise he had made to return. "Stronger. I can't fail," he muttered, his aura flaring brighter. "I won't fail." With a mighty roar, Goku unleashed a new technique he had developed during his training, a Kamehameha infused with Conqueror's Haki. The energy beam tore through Argos's defenses, shattering the gatekeeper's blade and knocking them to the ground. Argos, breathing heavily, rose to their feet and nodded in acknowledgement. "You have proven your worth, warrior. The portal is yours to enter." The Straw Hats cheered as the portal stabilized, its energy humming with anticipation. Goku turned to the crew, his heart heavy with gratitude. "Thank you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "You all gave me a home when I had none. I'll never forget you." Luffy stepped forward, his grin as wide as ever. "You're part of our crew, Goku. No matter where you go, you're always welcome back." The rest of the crew echoed Luffy's sentiment, their voices filled with warmth. Goku smiled, his eyes glistening. "I'll come back someday, I promise." With one final wave, he stepped into the portal, the light enveloping him as the Straw Hats watched. The journey through the portal was turbulent, but Goku's resolve kept him steady. When he emerged on the other side, he found himself in the middle of a battlefield. His friends were there, Vegeta, Gohan, and Piccolo, still fighting Omega Kronos. They turned in shock as Goku landed beside them, his aura burning brighter than ever. "Sorry I'm late," Goku said, a determined smile on his face. "Let's finish this." With newfound strength and the lessons he had learned in the One Piece world, Goku charged at Kronos, ready to turn the tide of the battle and protect the ones he loved. His journey wasn't over, but for the first time in a long time, he felt whole. The battlefield was chaos. Energy blasts tore through the air, the ground shattered underfoot, and the sky darkened as Omega Kronos loomed above. His smirk faltered slightly as Goku returned, his presence radiating a newfound power. Gohan, battered and bruised, stared in disbelief. "Dad, how are you here?" Goku glanced at his son and smiled. "It's a long story, Gohan. I'll explain everything later. Right now, we've got a battle to win." Vegeta, struggling to stand, growled. "Kakarot, don't tell me you've been slacking off while we've been fighting for our lives." "Slacking off? Not exactly," Goku replied with a grin. "Let's just say I've been training in a place unlike anything you can imagine." Omega Kronos sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "So, the coward returns. It doesn't matter how much power you've gained. You cannot defeat me." Goku stepped forward, his aura shimmering with a strange combination of his usual ki and something else, something more refined, like the Haki he had mastered in the One Piece world. He clenched his fists, his determination palpable. "We'll see about that," Goku said, his voice steady. Goku's aura flared as he powered up, but this time it wasn't just the usual golden glow of Super Saiyan or the silvery sheen of Ultra Instinct. His energy resonated with a deep, oceanic blue, a fusion of his ki and the spiritual energy he had harnessed in the other world. Without hesitation, Goku charged at Kronos, moving faster than ever before. Each strike landed with precision, and the power behind his blows shook the battlefield. Kronos retaliated with devastating attacks, warping space and unleashing destructive waves of energy, but Goku's movements were fluid and calculated, dodging and countering with techniques he had refined during his time with the Straw Hats. "Let's end this together," Goku shouted to his friends. Vegeta, Gohan, and Piccolo joined the fight, their energy combining with Goku's in a dazzling display of unity. Together, they pushed Kronos back, their attacks synchronized as if they had trained for this very moment. Kronos roared in frustration, unleashing a cataclysmic wave of energy meant to obliterate everything. Goku acted swiftly, raising his hands to the sky and calling on a technique he had refined in the One Piece world. Spirit Bomb, Haki Fusion. The energy of the battlefield, the planet, and even the universe itself converged into a massive sphere of light, infused with the Haki-like force he had learned. The Spirit Bomb pulsed with raw, overwhelming power. "Everyone, lend me your energy," Goku shouted, his voice echoing across the battlefield. His friends poured their remaining strength into the Spirit Bomb, and Goku launched it with all his might. The massive attack engulfed Kronos, who screamed in defiance as the energy consumed him. The light from the explosion was blinding, and when it faded, Kronos was gone, erased by the combined power of their determination. The battlefield fell silent. Goku collapsed to his knees, exhausted but victorious. His friends rushed to his side, their faces filled with relief and gratitude. "You did it, Dad," Gohan said, his voice trembling. "You really did it." Vegeta crossed his arms, a smirk tugging at his lips. "HMPH. Took you long enough, Kakarot." Goku laughed weakly. "I couldn't have done it without all of you." As they regrouped, Goku explained his time in the One Piece world, recounting his adventures with the Straw Hats, the lessons he had learned, and the bonds he had formed. His friends listened in amazement, struggling to comprehend the idea of a world so different from their own. "So, you were a pirate?" Gohan asked, incredulous. "Not exactly," Goku said with a chuckle. "But I learned a lot from them. They're incredible people." Piccolo nodded thoughtfully. "It sounds like your time there made you stronger, not just in power, but in spirit." Goku stood, his strength slowly returning. He looked up at the sky, a wistful smile on his face. "I'll never forget them, and someday, I'll find a way to see them again." As the group returned home, the world began to heal, and peace was restored. But for Goku, the memories of the Straw Hats and the adventures they shared remained a part of him, a reminder that even in the most unexpected places, allies and friendships could be found. And somewhere, across the vast sea of dimensions, the Straw Hats continued their journey, wondering if their Saiyan friend would ever return to share another adventure. Life on Earth returned to normal, or at least as normal as it could for Goku and his friends. The Z fighters began rebuilding their lives, training, and looking ahead to future challenges. But for Goku, something had changed. His time with the Straw Hat Pirates had left a lasting impression on him, not only in how he fought but in how he saw the world. One day, as Goku trained in the wilderness, his thoughts drifted back to the Grand Line. He remembered Luffy's infectious laugh, Zoro's relentless determination, and Nami's sharp wit. He thought of Sanji's culinary masterpieces, Usopp's inventive tricks, and the strange yet heartwarming moments he shared with Chopper, Robin, Brooke, and Frankie. He sighed, looking out over the mountains. "I wonder how they're doing. Knowing Luffy, he's probably causing all kinds of trouble." Gohan arrived moments later, interrupting Goku's thoughts. "Dad, you've been distracted lately. Is it because of them?" Goku smiled sheepishly. "Yeah, I just can't help but think about my time there. It felt so different." Like I was part of something completely new. Gohan nodded, understanding his father's restlessness. You really miss them, don't you? I do, Goku admitted. But I don't even know if it's possible to go back. That portal was a one-time thing, and Argos said it was dangerous to mess with dimensions. As they spoke, a familiar energy signature flickered in the distance, one that didn't belong to their world. Goku stood abruptly, his senses on high alert. Do you feel that? He asked. Gohan nodded, his expression serious. Yeah, it's faint, but it's definitely something unusual. Without wasting a moment, Goku used instant transmission to locate the source. He arrived in a remote, desolate area, where a small, shimmering rift floated in the air. The energy radiating from it felt eerily familiar. It was similar to the portal that had brought him to the One Piece world. Goku's heart raced. Could it be? As he approached, the rift pulsed and began to expand. A voice echoed through the air, faint but recognizable. Goku, is that you? Goku's eyes widened. Luffy, is that really you? The rift grew larger, and through it, Goku could make out the Thousand Sunny. Luffy was standing at the edge of the ship, waving frantically, while the rest of the crew crowded behind him, shouting excitedly. It worked. Nami yelled. I told you we'd figure out a way to contact him. Zoro smirked, arms crossed. Took long enough. Sanji lit a cigarette, grinning. Looks like the idiot didn't forget us after all. Goku laughed, his heart swelling with joy. You guys, I can't believe it. Robin stepped forward, her calm voice cutting through the commotion. The dimensional rift is unstable. If we're going to see you again, we need to act quickly. Frankie flexed his arms, shouting, we've modified the Sunny to withstand dimensional travel, but it's not permanent. You coming back or what? Goku hesitated, glancing back toward the horizon. He thought of his family and friends, the life he had here, and the responsibilities he couldn't ignore. But he also thought of the Straw Hats, his other family, waiting for him with open arms. Before he could answer, Gohan and Piccolo arrived, having sensed the energy surge. What's going on? Piccolo demanded, studying the rift. Gohan's eyes widened as he saw the crew on the other side. Is that them? Goku nodded, his expression conflicted. It's them. They found a way to reach me. Piccolo folded his arms. If you're thinking about going back, you'd better make a decision fast. That rift isn't going to stay open forever. Gohan stepped forward, placing a hand on his father's shoulder. Dad, you've done so much for us, for this world. If this is something you need to do, we'll understand. Goku smiled at his son, his eyes full of gratitude. Thanks, Gohan. You've grown into an incredible person. I'm proud of you. Turning back to the rift, Goku took a deep breath. All right, guys, I'm coming back. The Straw Hats erupted into cheers as Goku leapt through the portal, landing on the deck of the Thousand Sunny with a grin. Luffy tackled him in an enthusiastic hug, nearly knocking him over. Goku, you're back. The rest of the crew gathered around, welcoming him with laughter and excitement. It's good to see you all again, Goku said, his voice filled with emotion. As the rift closed behind them, Goku felt a sense of peace. He didn't know what adventures lay ahead, but he knew one thing for sure, he was exactly where he needed to be. The cheers of the Straw Hat Pirates echoed across the Grand Line as Goku stood aboard the Thousand Sunny, feeling the warm welcome of his second family. Luffy's infectious energy was overwhelming as he danced around Goku, laughing uncontrollably. You're back. I knew you'd come back. Luffy shouted, his grin so wide it seemed to split his face. Sanji smirked, tossing Goku a plate stacked high with meat. Figured. You'd need this. Can't have you collapsing from hunger right after stepping aboard. Goku caught the plate, his eyes lighting up. Thanks, Sanji. You remembered. He wasted no time devouring the food, much to everyone's amusement. Zoro leaned against the ship's mast, his swords gleaming in the sunlight. So, did you get stronger, or are you still the same idiot we met last time? Goku grinned, wiping his mouth. You'll have to spar with me to find out. Oh, it's on, Zoro replied, a hint of a smirk crossing his face. The crew quickly fell back into their usual rhythm, but there was a noticeable sense of excitement in the air. Goku was back, and the Straw Hats were eager to share everything that had happened in his absence. Later that evening, as the crew sat together on the deck under a blanket of stars, they swapped stories. Goku recounted the battle against Omega Kronos and how he had used everything he learned in their world to protect his own. The crew listened intently, occasionally interrupting with cheers or jokes. "It sounds like you saved your world," Robin said, her calm voice carrying a note of admiration. "And yet, you chose to come back here. Why?" Goku's expression softened, and he looked around at the crew, his eyes full of gratitude. "You guys gave me something I didn't realize I needed. A second family. I've got my world and my friends there, but you all taught me new things about myself. You showed me how to look at the world differently, how to fight differently, and how to enjoy the moment. I couldn't stay away." Luffy nodded vigorously, holding up his straw hat. "That's because you're one of us, Goku. Once a straw hat, always a straw hat." The crew cheered in agreement, raising their mugs in a toast. "To Goku," Luffy declared, laughing. "To Goku," the crew echoed, their voices filled with joy. As the night wore on, Goku felt a sense of peace he hadn't experienced in a long time. He was home, his second home. The next day, the adventure resumed as if Goku had never left. The crew set sail toward a new island, one rumored to have a treasure so valuable that the Yonko themselves were vying for it. Along the way, Goku's presence added a new dynamic to the team. He trained with Zoro, sparred with Luffy, and even learned new ways to combine his key techniques with what he'd picked up about Haki. Meanwhile, the crew helped Goku adapt further to the unique challenges of the Grand Line, from devil fruit powers to bizarre weather patterns. Their bond deepened with each passing day, and Goku couldn't help but feel like he had found something irreplaceable. He had been a Z fighter all his life, but now, he was also a Straw Hat pirate, a part of two worlds, both of which he would protect with everything he had. Unbeknownst to the crew, however, their journey was being watched. On a distant ship, a figure cloaked in shadow smirked as they observed the Thousand Sunny through a pair of binoculars. "So, the Saiyan is back," the figure muttered, their voice laced with intrigue. This could change everything. As the shadowy figure's ship turned toward the Straw Hat's path, Goku and the crew sailed on, blissfully unaware of the challenges and battles that awaited them. But whatever lay ahead, Goku knew one thing for certain: with the Straw Hat pirates by his side, there was nothing they couldn't face together. The Thousand Sunny sailed smoothly through the Grand Line, with the crew in high spirits as they neared their next destination. Goku's presence had rekindled a new energy in the crew, everyone was pushing themselves harder, training and growing stronger with each passing day. Yet, despite the camaraderie and shared joy, the strange feeling of being watched lingered in the back of Goku's mind. One evening, as the crew gathered around the table for a feast, Goku couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. His senses tingled, and he instinctively looked around, scanning the horizon. But there was nothing except the endless stretch of ocean and the dimming sky. "You all right, Goku?" Luffy asked, noticing his friend's sudden change in demeanor. "Yeah, just got a weird feeling," Goku replied, his brow furrowing slightly. "Stop being so paranoid. You're always sensing something strange," Luffy laughed, clearly enjoying the food more than anything else. But even as Luffy joked, Goku couldn't shake the unease. Something was out there, something he couldn't see yet, but felt deep in his gut. The next day, the crew docked at a mysterious island shrouded in mist. The island was uncharted, hidden away in the far reaches of the Grand Line, and rumors of its treasure had spread like wildfire among pirates. But as they set foot on the island, the usual excitement of an uncharted adventure was replaced by a heavy silence. "This place feels weird," Nami said, glancing around uneasily. "I don't like it," Zoro muttered, hand on his sword. "The atmosphere's off." The crew cautiously made their way into the dense forest that covered the island. The trees were twisted and gnarled, their branches reaching out like clawed hands. The air was thick with a damp, oppressive humidity, and the only sounds were the faint rustling of leaves and the occasional chirp of unseen creatures. Goku's senses were on high alert. His intuition told him that this wasn't just another treasure hunt. Something dark lurked on this island, something dangerous. "Stay sharp," Goku said to the crew, his voice low. "I don't like how quiet it is here." As they ventured deeper into the jungle, they stumbled upon a strange structure, an ancient, crumbling temple hidden in the heart of the island. The stone walls were covered in strange runes, and the entrance was guarded by statues of fierce, armored warriors. "This place is ancient," Robin said, examining the inscriptions on the stone. "I've never seen anything like this before." A sudden noise broke the silence, a deep, rumbling growl echoed from within the temple. The crew froze, instinctively reaching for their weapons. Out of the shadows, a figure emerged. It was cloaked in dark robes, their face hidden beneath a hood. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a pair of glowing red eyes that burned with a malevolent intensity. Well, if it isn't the famous Goku and the Straw Hat Pirates," the figure said in a voice that was both cold and smooth, like the hiss of a serpent. "I've been waiting for you." Goku's muscles tensed, and his eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" The figure chuckled softly. "I am Seraphis, the guardian of this island. And you, Saiyan, you've wandered too far." Before Goku could respond, the ground beneath them trembled, and from the shadows, massive, armored warriors emerged. They were the same statues Goku had seen before, but now they were alive, ancient golems, powered by a mysterious force. "You've stumbled into my domain," Seraphis continued, his smile dark. "And now, you'll never leave." Without warning, the golems charged, their massive fists crashing down toward the crew. "Everyone, move," Goku shouted, his voice filled with urgency. In a blur of motion, Goku rushed forward, his fists clashing with the first golem that attempted to strike him. The impact sent shockwaves through the ground, but the golem didn't budge. Goku's expression grew serious. "These weren't ordinary enemies. You'll have to do better than that." Goku grinned, his aura flaring to life. He powered up to Super Saiyan Blue, his energy surging. With a massive blast of energy, he shattered the first golem, but there were more. Luffy and the rest of the crew quickly joined the battle. Zoro unleashed a flurry of sword strikes, his blades cutting through the stone like butter. Sanji launched powerful kicks that sent golems flying. Nami summoned a powerful lightning storm, while Usopp fired precise shots with his slingshot, aiming for the weak points of the golems. Robin stretched her limbs to hold back the advancing enemies, and Frankie's powerful punches sent golems crashing into the forest. But despite their combined strength, the golems seemed to keep coming, relentless and powerful. Goku narrowed his eyes, realizing that they needed a different approach. "Luffy, can you get close to Seraphis?" Goku shouted. "Leave it to me," Luffy said, already stretching his arms toward the Guardian. With his stretchy abilities, Luffy quickly reached Seraphis, but before he could strike, a barrier of dark energy erupted from Seraphis's body, sending Luffy flying backward. "You can't defeat me so easily, Luffy," Seraphis sneered. "This island is mine. You're just intruders." Goku clenched his fists, his mind racing. He knew they couldn't just keep fighting the golems forever. They needed to stop Seraphis. "I've got an idea," Goku said. "Everyone, focus your attacks on the golems. I'll deal with Seraphis." The crew nodded, and the battle raged on. Goku darted forward, avoiding the golems' attacks with ease, until he reached Seraphis, his energy pulsating with power. "You've been a real pain," Goku said with a grin. "Now, let's see what you're really made of." Goku unleashed a powerful Kamehameha wave infused with his ki and Haki, crashing it into Seraphis's dark barrier. The force of the attack shattered the shield, sending the Guardian reeling backward. Seraphis roared in fury, his red eyes glowing brighter. "You think you can stop me, Saiyan? I control this island." But Goku wasn't done. With a burst of speed, he launched a flurry of punches and energy blasts, overwhelming Seraphis with a barrage of attacks. Finally, with one final Kamehameha, Goku sent Seraphis crashing to the ground, the dark energy dissipating. The golems, seeing their master defeated, collapsed one by one, crumbling into stone. The crew, breathing heavily but victorious, gathered around Goku. "That was one tough fight," Luffy said, grinning. "But you did it, Goku." Goku smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "That was nothing. But this place is still pretty creepy." Nami shuddered. "I think we've had enough of this island. Let's get back on the ship and get out of here." The crew nodded in agreement, and as they left the temple behind, Goku couldn't help but glance back one last time. I wonder what other challenges are waiting for us out there, he mused. Luffy slapped him on the back, his usual carefree smile on his face. Whatever they are, we'll face them together. Goku grinned. You're right. With you guys by my side, there's nothing we can't handle. And so, the Straw Hat Pirates sailed onward, ready for the next adventure, knowing that whatever challenges awaited them, Goku would always be there to fight alongside them. The Thousand Sunny sailed on through the Grand Line, the horizon stretching out in front of them as they continued their journey. Despite the intense battle with Seraphis and the golems, the crew remained in high spirits. They had faced danger together and emerged victorious once again. But Goku couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off, like an impending storm that hadn't yet arrived. Goku, Luffy called, breaking him from his thoughts. What do you think we'll find next? Another treasure. A new island. A big fight. Goku grinned, his eyes brightening. I'm up for anything, Luffy. Whatever comes, we'll face it head on, just like always. As the days passed, the crew grew closer, their bonds deepening with each new adventure. Goku had fully integrated into their lives, not just as a powerful ally, but as a friend, someone who brought a new perspective to their travels. He shared stories from his world, taught them new techniques, and trained with them whenever they had a moment to spare. But even as the crew celebrated their victories, Goku's thoughts kept drifting back to something deeper. The power he had unlocked in the One Piece world, the fusion of his ki and the spiritual energy of Haki, was growing. He was learning how to combine his abilities in ways he had never thought possible. But he also felt the weight of that power, as though it was leading him toward something greater, or something more dangerous. One evening, as the crew sat around the table, enjoying a rare quiet moment, Robin glanced at Goku with a knowing look. You've been distant lately, she observed, her voice soft. Something's on your mind, isn't it? Goku paused, staring into his cup of water, and then nodded. Yeah, I've been feeling like something big is coming. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like there's a force out there that's watching us. Zoro raised an eyebrow. You're still on about that feeling of being watched? Goku nodded. Yeah, it's like I can sense something powerful, something that's been tracking us for a while. I can't tell who or what it is, but I feel like it's going to show up sooner or later. That's the first time I've ever heard you say something like that, Nami said, her tone serious. What do you think we should do? I don't know, Goku replied, rubbing the back of his head. But I think it's time to be ready for anything. Just as he spoke, a massive, dark shadow appeared on the horizon, growing larger and larger as the ship sailed toward it. The sky darkened, and the crew could feel a sudden chill in the air. That's not normal, Usopp said, his voice filled with fear. Luffy stood up, eyes narrowed in determination. Looks like it's time for a fight. As they drew closer, a massive fortress emerged from the mist, a dark and imposing structure that seemed to rise out of the sea itself. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and a large, swirling vortex of energy hovered above it, pulsing with an ominous power. This place is bad news, Frankie muttered, his robotic hand crackling with energy. We're not turning back now, Luffy said, his usual excitement unshaken. Let's check it out. Goku nodded. Let's stay on our guard. Something tells me this isn't just another treasure island. The crew docked the Thousand Sunny at the fortress, and as they disembarked, they were greeted by a strange figure. A tall man clad in dark robes stood at the entrance, his face obscured by a hood. His presence was suffocating, like the very air around him had been warped. Welcome to the Nexus of Worlds, the man's voice boomed, echoing through the air. I am Eryx, the Warden of Realms. You've entered a place that even the strongest dare not tread. The crew tensed, sensing the overwhelming power emanating from Eryx. Goku's instincts flared, but he remained calm. What do you want? Luffy asked, his voice sharp, though his grin remained. Eryx raised his hand, and the vortex above the fortress pulsed with energy. You have crossed into a realm beyond your understanding. The worlds are beginning to collide, and I've been sent to ensure the balance is maintained. I've been watching your journey, Goku, and your arrival here was no accident. Goku's eyes widened. You've been watching me. Eryx nodded slowly. You were a key, Goku. The power you've unlocked, this fusion of ki and haki has caught the attention of beings far more powerful than you can imagine. The balance between the realms is teetering, and you are at the center of it all. I don't know what you're talking about, Goku said, his brow furrowing. I'm just here to help my friends and fight for what's right. Eric's chuckled darkly. You were naive, Saiyan. But that is what makes you dangerous. Your presence here, the strength you wield, threatens the very fabric of the multiverse. The realms will converge, and when they do, the consequences will be catastrophic. The crew exchanged worried glances. What do we do now? Nami whispered. You fight, Eric said, his voice like thunder. You fight for the survival of your world, and for all the worlds that are beginning to collide. With a sudden, fluid movement, Eric extended his hand, and the ground beneath them trembled. From the swirling vortex above, a flood of dark energy surged downward, forming into creatures, nightmarish, otherworldly beasts, with glowing eyes and unnatural strength. Goku's expression hardened. I guess this is it, he said, clenching his fists. Whatever this is, we're going to face it together. Luffy jumped into the air, his fist raised high. That's right. We're the Straw Hat Pirates. Let's kick some butt. The battle began, with Goku and the crew fighting against the creatures that emerged from the vortex. Their strength was overwhelming, and the beasts seemed to grow stronger with each passing second. But Goku was ready. This was the moment he had been feeling, the collision of worlds had begun. And he was going to do whatever it took to protect the ones he loved. The battle raged on as the crew of the Thousand Sunny fought fiercely against the nightmarish beasts that flooded from the vortex above. Goku, his aura blazing with a mix of his Saiyan power and the spiritual energy of Haki, moved with precision, dispatching creatures left and right. His punches were like thunder, sending shockwaves through the air as he cleared a path for the crew. Luffy and the others weren't far behind, working together in perfect harmony. Zoro sliced through the monstrous beasts with his swords, each strike cutting through their tough hides. Sanji's kick sent them flying in all directions, and Nami's lightning brought down several at once. Robin's arms stretched and ensnared enemies, holding them in place for the crew to finish off. Even Usopp, despite his usual reluctance, fired his slingshot with deadly accuracy, hitting weak spots in the creatures' armored bodies. As the last of the creatures fell, Goku turned to face Eric, who stood unfazed at the center of the battlefield. His dark aura swirled around him, and he raised his hands, summoning a wave of dark energy. You are strong, Goku, but this is only the beginning, Eric said, his voice deep and foreboding. The true test has yet to come. Goku's expression grew serious. I've fought in plenty of battles, but if you think I'll just let you destroy my world, you've got another thing coming. The tension in the air was thick, and for a moment, everything seemed to pause. Then, with a flash of energy, Goku launched forward, his energy erupting as he clashed with Eric's. The power of their collision sent shockwaves through the fortress, causing the very ground beneath them to tremble. The battle continued, but Goku's determination never wavered. He fought for his friends, for this world, and for every world that was at risk of being consumed by the chaos Eric threatened to unleash. With each strike, Goku grew stronger, his fusion of Haki and Ki pushing him beyond his limits. But just as it seemed like Goku was gaining the upper hand, Eric smiled darkly. You've done well to come this far, but you've already walked into the trap. The worlds will collide, Goku. The Nexus is already beginning to tear apart the fabric of reality. Before Goku could respond, the vortex above the fortress grew larger, its energy surging uncontrollably. Dark cracks appeared in the sky, and a blinding light filled the air, blurring everything around them. The sound of collapsing dimensions echoed, signaling that the battle was far from over. Goku's heart pounded in his chest. He knew that if he didn't act fast, the entire multiverse would collapse under the weight of the forces Eric had unleashed. But even as the world around him shook, he felt the strength of his friends beside him. The Straw Hats were more than just allies, they were his family, and together, they could face anything. Goku took a deep breath, focusing all his energy into one final strike. With an explosion of power, he unleashed a devastating attack that ripped through the vortex, breaking Eric's hold on the Nexus. The dark energy cracked and shattered, sending the guardian of the realms flying backward. The vortex began to shrink, the cracks in reality healing as the fortress started to crumble. Eric's, defeated but not broken, disappeared into the collapsing energy, his voice lingering in the air. This is only the beginning, Goku. The Nexus will return. As the storm of energy subsided, Goku stood victorious, his body exhausted but filled with a sense of resolve. The Nexus had been sealed for now, but the threat of collapsing realities was far from over. The crew gathered around him, their expressions filled with relief. "You did it, Goku," Luffy shouted, slapping him on the back. "You're a monster," Zoro said, his usual gruff tone softened with respect. Goku smiled, his eyes tired but full of determination. "This battle's over, but we've got a long way to go before this is really done. We'll face whatever comes together." The crew cheered, knowing that whatever challenges the future held, they would face them as one. And so, with the multiverse at rest, for now, the Straw Hat Pirates sailed onward, ready for the next adventure, knowing that Goku, the Saiyan warrior, would always stand by their side. And that it for part 1. I hope you enjoyed the story so far. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time, have a great day.